Tiffany, if you, or not Tiffany, Haley DeMercurio, if you want to start making your way up here. Where is she? There she is, okay. All right. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Jeff Nix. Hopefully I pronounced that correctly. Oh, come on. That's funny stuff. It didn't work last week at the other banquet either. All right, how about this one? One more try. If you know this joke, don't say it. This is my moment, not yours. What's the difference between a good joke and a bad joke? Timing! All right, I'll just let these guys do all the talking, I guess. Maybe my wife is right, maybe I'm not funny. All right, welcome to the Sports Banquet. This is Sports Banquet number 2, Fall Sports Banquet number 2. 2 weeks ago we had the volleyball, girls golf, and cross country. And of course this is our football, cheer, and dance banquet. As you can see, there's quite a few people here. We have 300 chairs set up and almost every chair is full. So that's good because that means that everybody came and they brought their parents with them. So thank you very much for being here tonight. Seriously though, I'm not going to do a whole lot of talking. You're welcome. I'll let these guys do most of the talking this evening. The first thing we're going to do is eat, which is what everybody loves about this banquet the most, right? But before we do that, we've got Haley DeMercurio who's going to do our invocation this evening. So Haley, come on up.
Heavenly Father, I thank you for the incredible talents you've given to us. God, you allowed us to be fair as we played and help us to remain strong throughout the game as well as throughout life. I pray that you'll help us to be the best out there in the field and life so we shall display your glory to the rest of the world. We ask you to continue to bless our principals, teachers, coaches, and our family and friends as they guide us in developing these talents. Help us, Lord, to remember that it's our responsibility to use the fine gifts you've given us and teach us what it means to be real winners in your eyes. We ask you to be a great source of strength even when we feel pushed into a corner by our opponents. Father, grant us the ability to learn new spiritual aspects every time we go out there. As you are the source of all that is good, help us to show your love to our opponents, even if they defeat us. As you have granted us a grace and a knowledge, you as our Father, help us to set a positive example as we use the talents you have granted upon us. Remind us that we rely on you and you alone for our skills and endurance. I pray that we shall experience nothing but joy and happiness from this experience. We do this in your holy name. Amen.
All right, thank you, Haley. And now the time that everybody actually listens to me is when I announce who gets to eat. Or maybe not. All right, so this was randomly drawn. I'm not going to say by who, but it wasn't by me, right, Coach Schwinn? It wasn't by me?
It was me.
Okay. All right, so the head table will eat first. Then after that, it's table 3. You're welcome. Table 4 after that. You're welcome. Table 1 after that, and I'm sorry, table 2, you guys are last. So 3, 4, 1, 2. Head table, head up first. Before we get started though, we have a found jug of water. If anyone is looking for that, a found jug of water. If it's yours, you can come claim. That jug's got like 5 holes in it. You need a new one. All right. Welcome everybody. I'm going to introduce the coaches and then they're going to go ahead and start talking about their seasons. I'm going to start with, actually before we do that, how about a nice round of applause for Jordan Mueller and our kitchen staff for their wonderful meal. They always do a fantastic job. So introduction of our coaches, we'll start to my far left. We had, for the first time ever, we sort of had 3 cheer coaches. What we had basically was we had Coach Wiener, who was on maternity leave for part of the season. So we hired Coach Kreider to fill in for her while she was on maternity leave. So to my far left is part-time high school cheer coach Ashley Kreider. Yeah. To her right is the new mama, and that is assistant coach Ashley Wiener. Our head spirit coach, so she was sort of overseeing both our cheer and dance programs this year, is Shelly Dallas. Our assistant spirit coach, who basically handled the dance team, other than paperwork and that sort of thing, is Angie Rotler. She's awesome, isn't she? Okay. To my immediate left, the guy who figured it out. These other guys didn't figure it out. He sits with all the women on this side. Our head football coach, Kenny White. Okay, over to the ugly side of the table, we've got, to my immediate right, one of our two freshman coaches, Cody Schwent. To his right, his companion, the other freshman coach, is Jared Bonnell. I always have a hard time telling them apart, so to his right is a new coach for us, and he's one of our JV coaches. That's Nick Cowell. Another new addition to the staff, and also a JV coach, Jay Pope. The offensive coordinator, Kellen Bosler. To his right is our defensive coordinator, Ryan Wyke. And last but definitely not least, our volunteer coach who's been with us for a long time and puts in an awful lot of time for free. We sure do appreciate everything he does, and that's Tyson Roth. I'll do thank yous throughout the course of the night, but I want to do one more before we get to our cheer program. A huge thank you to all of our booster members for everything you do, but specifically our booster officers who met tonight. They came in at 4:15 today, and we met for an hour before we started getting ready for the banquet. They helped put together all the banquets. They put together the workers for concessions. There's just a long list of things that these booster officers do, and they do it all on a volunteer basis, and we greatly appreciate them. Sandy Gegg, Carla Bullock, Rob Coleman, Deanne Squires, and her last night as a booster officer, unfortunately, she's been a fantastic booster officer for 5 years for us, Carrie Staffen. So thank you to those booster officers. All right, moving on. Cheer. Shelly, are you going to do all the talking, or are you going to make either one of those? You're going to do all of it? Okay. Shelly has agreed to do all the talking. Surprise, surprise. So we're going to go ahead and turn it over to her.
Okay, I'm going to keep it short this year. No. Hello, everyone. I want to do my thank yous first. I want to thank the parents, the players, the coaches, and the administration for all your support. The Spirit crowd, I'd like to thank them as well for all their participation. It's really been fun to have them at the games. Thank you to Mr. Nix. He's been very patient with me and all my questions. The other day I was not at work because my daughter had a baby, and I was calling him, asking questions. He's like, I talk to you more than my wife. I'm like, sorry.
5 times in one day. She wasn't even at work.
Why are you counting? They were good questions. Okay, and also, I thought after 2 years he wouldn't answer my phone calls anymore, but he does. And I want to thank my husband. He's not here, but he really does a lot for me. He supports me and does all the cooking, so it really helps out with cheer. Here with me is Coach Weiner. She's my assistant, and she's been a lot of help this year. She really knows her stuff. And Coach Kreider stepped in, and she's really good too, because she was a cheerleader herself, and she did really well with us. So we appreciate both of you guys very much. You guys really helped me a lot, and I really appreciate it. Thank you to all the members of the team for the most enjoyable season I've ever had. It just keeps getting better and better every year. We had a great time at camp. Everyone worked hard. They pushed themselves and did whatever we asked them to do. It's a great group of kids. I really loved this team. Over the summer, we went to a National Cheerleading Association camp in July, and we did really great. We were new. We've never done this before, so we didn't know what to do or what to expect. And then somebody went and had their baby. So I had to go by myself, so I was scared. But anyway, we did good, we had a lot of fun. We brought home a spirit stick, two of the 3 days, and we brought it home, which is a big deal for cheerleading. That means that you're being an exemplifying cheerleader and you're doing what they ask you to do. Not exactly yelling all the time, but being nice to your teammates, being nice to others. Then we also brought home the Herky Award. This is given to the team that shows the most leadership, values, teamwork, and sportsmanship all week. We got it one night, and then we also got it to bring home. So that goes to only one team. So that was pretty impressive. We also got a bid to go to nationals to compete, but we didn't do that. 8 of our team members were nominated to try out for the NCAA All-American team. The individuals were nominated because of their superior technical skills, leadership, and strong personal values. I'm going to ask the team to come up. We're going to start with our seniors. Katie Beck, please come forward. Please hold your applause to the end so that we can keep moving along. Katie has great jumps, good motions. She's also a tumbler for us, and she was a great base. She learned for us and had to adjust with many different flyers. Marissa Geck, she was our captain. She had really sharp motions. She kept track of the signs, which one year I lost. So Marissa did a great job and never complained about that. She's also a great flyer. She listens to whatever Coach Weiner tells her to do, and it made her into a really good flyer. Nick Giesler. Nick was always happy and smiling on the team. He was great to have around. He was willing to help. He was a great base, and he improved a lot with his motions this year. Jaden LeClaire, she was a captain. She was so good at reminding me about things and keeping me online. She didn't get to stunt much. I know she would have liked to, but she was a good help with the stunting by keeping things moving along and doing the counts for them. Haley Schmelsley, hey. She had an injury earlier in the season, so she wasn't able to do as much as she would have liked. She's a great flyer. She makes us smile and gets along with everyone. Now our juniors, Emma Johns. Emma's new to our team. She learned quickly. She was a great base. She gets along with everyone, and boy, she really got into those games. It was fun to watch her because she really enjoyed it. Hunter Nelms, this guy has awesome jumps. He can do a bunch of toe touches in a row. He's a great base. His motions improved a lot this year, always offering to carry stuff for me. At camp, both him and Nick would carry my backpack for me, and then just every once in a while, this young man will say, "Hey, Coach, you need me to carry that?" It was really sweet. Next, we have Tristan Arini. She has great jumps and motions. She's a great base. She put together our videos for us to learn material. She's always trying to get pictures of me, especially running. Soraya Zerwig, she's a great base and a tumbler. She's always smiling and always positive. She's willing to do whatever's asked of her. Sophomores, Molly Bell. Molly always has a good attitude, smiling. She was a good spot for us this year, and she improved a lot this year. Haley DeMercurio. Haley's a great flyer. Last year she didn't really want to do a whole lot, but then this year she decided she's going to step up. She improved a lot in her flying. She's got good jumps and motions. Gracie Hebb. Gracie's a great base as well. She improved a lot this season, especially in basing. She got a lot more confidence. She has really good motions. Josh Laws. Josh is new to our team, and he works really hard to improve. He will go home and watch those videos, and he really improved a lot on his own. He didn't get to do a lot of stunting this year. He needs a little more confidence in that, but we hope to be using him this season. Isabella Neal, she's a great flyer, willing to do whatever's asked, great motions. She gets along with everyone, and she's always smiling too. Chloe Walker. Chloe is a great base. She has good jumps and motions. She is a tumbler for us, and she has a good attitude, even though she picks on me sometimes. She does it with a smile. Kylie is our only freshman, and she hears that a lot, but she always smiles and has a good attitude. She's willing to learn any position. We put her in a bunch of different positions this year to try to find a spot for her. She didn't get to stunt as much as she probably would have liked to, but she has stayed positive. Okay, so now I want to introduce the 8 team members who were nominated to try out for NCAA All-American Team. When I say your name, just take a step forward so they know who you are. Again, these were nominated for their superior skills, and what they did is they had to learn a cheer, do some jumps, do an entrance, in hopes of making what they call the All-American Team. Katie Beck, Marissa Geck, Nick Giesler, Jaden LeClaire, Isabella Neal, Tristan Orini, Hunter Nelms, and Chloe Walker. Hunter and Isabella made the team this year. Congratulations, guys, on a good effort. We also had 2 team members at camp receive the Pay It Forward Award. That was Nick Giesler and Hunter Nelms. Good job, guys. This was a wonderful team. I wish I could give everyone an award. I loved working with this team. If I say too much, I'll start tearing up, and I don't want to do that. Everyone worked super hard and gave us their all, even though they pick on me sometimes. I don't know why. But I was very proud of this team. We had a lot of fun, and I'm going to miss those of you who are not with us on basketball and wish you the best. And those that are underclassmen, I hope you try out for football next year. Now for the awards. These are voted on by the coaches. Most improved goes to the one who showed the greatest growth in learning this season, one who took coaches' criticism well and worked hard to improve, Josh Laws. Best technique. This award goes to a cheerleader that has the motions on point, very sharp motions and good jumps. Also as an All-American, Hunter Nelms. Best stunt group. This stunt group that worked well together, they listened well to Coach Wiener's instructions and continued to improve. They are Marissa Geck, Nick Giesler, Tristan Orini, and Soraya Zerwig. The team voted on the Spirit Award. This goes to a team member that shows spirit, positivity throughout the games and performances, Emma Johns. The last award is a team voted award. Cheerleader award goes to the team member that showed outstanding efforts in positivity and spirits, great cooperation, and overall great team member, Isabella Neal. Thank you all for everything. It's not working. Well, thanks everybody. I don't need a microphone. Bye.
Thank you, Mr. Haney. Big round of applause for Mr. Haney. Okay. Great job, cheer. And 16 out of 16 of the cheerleaders were here. That's fantastic. Great job, ladies. All right. Our next group is our Emeralds dance team, and Coach Angie Rottler is going to get up and talk about them. So, what? Oh, you're going to? Okay, she's going to read Coach Rottler's speech. She's nervous. All right, Shelly likes to talk. I'm sure she probably talked her into it. Shelly, come on up. Don't break the microphone this time.
Flip the awards over there. Hey guys, don't sound so upset. She wrote the speech. She's just really nervous, and I don't mind talking. I might have to add a little bit here and there just to make it longer. Carissa said yes. Okay, so this is Coach. She's excited to be here tonight to speak about some of the wonderful young ladies on her team. This was her first season as a coach, and these 6 girls made it very easy. They grew as dancers and as a team. All of them became emeralds because they are passionate about dance, and she's very proud to be called their coach. She wanted to speak a little bit about each girl on the team, but I found myself writing the same qualities over and over. Okay, that's what I did. They are all devoted to the team. They're all talented. They're all amazing dancers, and they're beautiful inside and out. They are each an important part of the Emeralds. Team members, please come up as we say your name, okay? The team includes Brooke Baird. She's a senior. She was also the team captain and their only senior. Zoe Luttrell, also a team captain, junior. Carissa Holst, junior. Okay, Anna Dirks. Did I say it right? She's a junior. Kristen Davis, sophomore. And Chloe Wolk, only freshman. These 6 girls are amazing, and she and Coach enjoyed watching you all dance and look forward to the next season together. So she's gonna stick with us. Okay, now for the awards. Leadership Award. This goes to a great leader who stepped up and did a lot for the team and a lot for Coach, Brooke Baird. Most improved. This person came a long way this season, improved their dancing a lot. That was Kristen. Way to work hard. The Sideline Award is given to the team member that smiles on the sidelines and has good motions. That's Anna Dirks. The Emerald Award. This goes to the team member that exemplifies a true gem. Get that, Emerald? Jim. She is nice, cooperative, respectful, and usually has a good attitude, but towards Coach, she does. So that would be Carissa Holst. She gives me a little static, but that's okay. And that's it. Here's our emeralds. Thanks, ladies.
All right. Moving on to football. Coaches, the volume is low on this, so you guys are going to have to speak up a little bit as you talk. We're going to start with freshman football, so I believe Coach Schwint is going to do the talking for JV football, or for freshman football. Coach Bonnell is saving all of his words for the wrestling banquet. So Coach Schwint, come on up, talk about our freshman team.
All right, I don't have any jokes written in here. I don't know if I could live up to Miss Dallas and Mr. Nix at this point, so I'm just going to be serious. Good evening, everyone. First of all, I want to say some thank yous as well to get started. The biggest thank yous go to Coach Bonnell's wife, Ashley, and my wife, Katie. We are both aware how much extra we put on their plate by doing this, and we appreciate everything they do, probably more than they know. I also want to thank Mr. Nix. Our athletes probably don't understand how many games we try to schedule year in and year out so that we will have the opportunity to roll out a freshman squad and have a bunch of games for them, which is becoming more and more rare these days. Thanks for all the work you do for us. I want to thank these freshman boys because Coach Bonnell and I both had family matters to attend to throughout the season, and they did not get the attention that these other classes may have got in the past from both of us at the same time throughout the entire season, but they were always really understanding and really cool about it. On that note, I want to thank Coach Bonnell for being the best guy to coach next to and work with, and for always making me feel like if I couldn't pull my weight, he had it covered. Lastly, I want to thank the parents or grandparents or anyone who has helped raise this group that I'm about to call up. This was my 8th year coaching, and I'm realizing more and more that whether positive or negative, a group's overall attitude on the field strongly relates to the attitude of their parents, and this has been one of the most positive groups that Coach Bonnell and I have ever had. And the parents this year were nothing but supportive of what we were doing. Maybe one parent of one of the coaches we had an issue with, but that was only like one time, so it was pretty positive besides that. No, that wasn't written into my speech. That was thrown in there.
I'll let her know.
Thank you, because moving forward, that's going to be very beneficial to this team's growth, keeping that positive attitude. Boys, now I'm going to call you up. Please get your certificate from Coach Bonnell, and then stay up here while I talk about you a little bit. Let's see. Greg Amlong, Anthony Bader, Joey Bird, Austin Bowen. Directions, man. Directions. Aiden Boyer. Zach Brake. Carter Burr. Noah Burr. Bird, Burr, and Burr. That was difficult throughout the season. Dayton Decker. Caden Fly. Cameron Hahn. Will Hogemiller. Jordan Jacob. Jacob Johns. John Jacob. Tyler Lawrence. Alex Nicholson. Thomas Piku. Jaden Reinhardt. Trevor Roberts. Raymond Scher. Matt Schmidt. Landon Thompson. Aiden Trollinger. Will Vaughn. Nolan Walls. Cameron Wolf. And I don't know if they're here, but our managers, Colin Apt and Savannah German. This is the best attendance we've had from a freshman group, I think, ever. And I know that seems really like a really simple thing, but these guys always show up. They show up to everything. Whatever you ask of them, they're going to do. Coach Bonnell and I told them at the end of the season, which was, 2 weeks ago, that it would be important to be at this thing because we want to say nice things about you, and they showed up. So they're awesome kids, and I'll say that here in a little bit. This group ended up with a 4-1 record. Their only loss was to a very good Jackson group, where we ended up with several key injuries that we couldn't quite overcome, and it was a pretty darn good Jackson team. This was this group's very first loss in football, and I do not expect to see many more of those in their future. Several of these boys also helped out with a very successful JV team this year, which I believe will help with chemistry moving forward next year. Some other defining moments for this team were when we had a goal line stand against Park Hills. They had first and goal, and we stopped them, and that was for Park Hills to take the lead, so that was huge. After that, we methodically ran the clock out with some really tough runs by Will Hogemiller. One of the best quotes that I can remember from that game and this season, Noah Burr is a typical wide receiver and wants the ball and always thinks he's open. But he was split out wide, and he was over by our sidelines. And I looked at him, I said, look, I know we can burn this guy right now, and you can score, but I'm trying to be safe, and we're just running the clock out. He said, Coach, I don't care, I just want us to win. And that meant a lot to me. Like, because Noah likes to talk, and we talk smack and all kinds of stuff. But for him to say that was really awesome. And I think, I'll point out some specific guys tonight, but this whole group is that way, and that's really cool. Another great moment came when 3 of our two-way starters went out against St. Charles, and guys had to continually be moving in different positions, some of which were brand new for the season, or maybe they haven't even played it ever before, but we still were able to pull out a win, and that was really, really awesome. Alex Nicholson had a big sack at the end, and we had him at linebacker, and he hadn't played linebacker at all, so that was really cool. I don't really go into a bunch of individual accomplishments at these things because I like to promote the team stuff, so I don't really do any numbers or anything like that. But I do want to point out some traits of some individuals that I think all the athletes in this room can learn something from. When I reflect on why this team is successful, it is because each guy knows his role, which includes not only his strengths but also his weaknesses. These 3 guys, if you would step forward so everybody can see you, just in case they don't know what I'm talking about. Aiden Trollinger, Alex Nicholson, Jaden Reinhardt. You guys know what I'm going to say. These guys all started on defense for us. Not the tallest guys in the world, but they never once took it they never once took it personal if we tried to match them up with different people in a game, because they understood, guys are taller. We're not going to try to just do it ourselves and do something. Did that go off again? No. Awesome. Did it? Yeah. Or is it quiet? Can you hear me? Okay, I'll yell. I'm okay with that. Not that they weren't up to the task, but they understood. How is it working? It was going back and forth. Not that they weren't up to the task, but they understood if coach was asking them to do something different, it was for the good of the team, so they did it. Whatever. Caden Fly got banged up one game, so he only got to play offense and kickoff against Herky. He was pretty upset because he's a huge competitor, but he didn't complain because coach was asking him to do something, so he did it. Aiden Boyer, super intelligent about the game, maybe the most interested in football out of any kid I have ever coached. Probably thought we should run some different stuff at times. I'm not the smartest dude. He's pretty smart. But I was asking him to run certain plays, so he did it. Matt Schmidt wanted to be a receiver at the beginning of the season, but the coaches asked him to be a lineman to help the team, so he did it. I could say something about every single one of these guys. Will Hogemiller talking with his game instead of his voice. Will Vaughn and Cameron Hahn having the hardest collision that I've ever witnessed in practice, and both getting up and being buddies afterwards. Nolan Walls and Jacob Johns always worrying about getting plays correct and making sure things were getting done right for the team. It was always about the team with this group, always, and it needs to stay that way. You all are an amazing group of young men, every single one of you. Stick together and get more guys to come out. At this time, any varsity player who has started this year, stand up. All right, now if you're a senior, sit down. Any varsity player who has started on the offensive line, please stand up. If you're a senior, sit down. There's a ton of opportunity for playing time next year. Okay, we had a Brazilian kicker this year on varsity. Boys, there is no bias. If you are better at a certain position, you will play. Period. Make sure you are bigger and stronger than the other guys who are competing for that same position, so that there is no way that you don't earn that spot. This coaching staff and this school expect big things from not just this class, but the combination of classes moving forward. So remember that on those days you don't want to get in the weight room or compete in another sport or go for a run. You can be exceptional, but it is entirely up to you to decide that. I love you guys and good luck. And to the seniors, I'm very proud of you and the positive image you gave to this program for 4 years. From the first day of camp, it was super refreshing to be with you guys every day. Thank you, and I hope the groups that follow have learned something from you guys. Thanks.
Check. I don't know what's going on with this mic, but we're gonna see what happens, I guess. Great job, freshmen, as Coach Schwint mentioned. 17 out of 28 is not 100%, but for freshman football, attendance-wise, that's pretty dang good. And I didn't mention that the Emeralds were 100% as well. So congratulations and great job. Good way to represent. All right, moving on to JV and varsity football. Coach Wyke is going to, they've got a system worked out here where he's going to talk first, and then they're going to get up and talk about each of their kids as we go. So I'm going to turn it over to Coach Wyke at this time, and here we go with football.
All right, let's hope the mic holds up. Thank you, Mr. Nix. Appreciate it. I'm going to start with my thank yous. I always start with my administration just for letting me have this job. I really appreciate it. It was my dream job, still is. Love doing it, and I love the people that I work with. Thank you guys for allowing me to do it still. Coach Nix, obviously, for everything he does, setting this up. You guys all know what he does for us, and I can't thank him enough. I'm in there, I think, every day talking to him, getting advice, things that I need to do, keep up with. I appreciate it all, Jeff. I've been in a few different schools. I think I've told you guys this before. It's very nice to go out in public with the St. John emblem on the coat, and people look at you with respect. And that's this community. That's you guys, and it's just that easy. It's very nice to be a part of that, and I appreciate that. This group of guys up here, I want to make you guys stand, please. You've been sitting too long, all of you. They'll all be up here one at a time, but you guys in the back probably don't get to see them too often. I've learned over the years that, there's no way I could do this by myself. I wouldn't even expect to, but to assemble a group of guys that have the passion and the knowledge that these guys have, and put it together, and the camaraderie with it, just makes for a special group. I couldn't be more thankful for all of you. I appreciate everything you do, guys. Thank you very much. We taught them how to clap. You guys do pretty good. Boosters, Jeff already thanked you guys, especially Carrie. Parents, you guys, you know who you are. You made their meals. You got everything ready for them. I still think you pamper them too much, but I'm sure the guys appreciate it for taking care of us on all our away trips, the meals at home games. It's really nice to know your kids are taken care of, and I didn't have to do any of it. We have a lot to do getting ready for games, but it's really nice just knowing that our kids are in good hands and they're going to come back well fed and ready to play. Our game help, you guys know Rabbit Tom here helps us haul the equipment. Mr. Kraft does our stats. Joe's here, he films for us. All our assistant coaches, what they do, our younger junior high coaches help on Friday nights. The list just goes on and on and on. And, like I said, it's a big task. but with all the people that jump in and help, we get it done, and I think we do a pretty good job. And again, we do appreciate it. All right, I'm gonna bring and the cheerleaders, I almost forgot about you, Shelley. For all the support and what you guys do for us, it's really nice. You know, you're behind us and all the time and everything you do for us also, okay? All right, I'm gonna start with my 3 managers here. I'm gonna bring up Andrew Marzuko, Mariah Boyer, and Haley Woodridge, please. Talk about good help. Friday nights are hectic. I get nervous. I usually kind of wander off by myself and have to kind of get my wits about me before we go out. But it's real nice knowing that things are taken care of. Mariah's been around, and she was kind of the leader of the group, and she just kind of took everything under her wing. And when we knew that Andrew was going to come do Friday nights, I was really excited about that. Andrew brings a level of energy that we all love. I know the kids do. You know, it doesn't get any better than a kickoff, watching him run out and get that tee and come back. And I don't know what game it was. We about wore him out. I think halftime he was pretty tired. But and it was really nice having him on board. His parents allowed him to come out and be with us and be a part of this team. And the way the kids just took him in, we appreciate that. And especially Mariah for all your help with him. Okay. But like I said, a special thank you to these 3. Thank you very much, guys. All right, what we do is I get to talk about the season a little bit. Did I lose the mic? I get to talk about the season a little bit, and then we turn it over to some of our coaches, and we all talk a little bit more about different things. But I swear I didn't turn it off. Our season, you know, we ended up 8-4, just ended on us last Friday. But I think if you were at the Park Hills game, the second one, I think that kind of is our season in a nutshell. At least that it was for me. The emotion was out of control. Just the roller coaster ride we had throughout the game. We started off fast, you know, went down and scored, and the confidence that we brought and everything else. And they're a good team. They came back. Made a game of it. We made mistakes. We always do. But the biggest thing that I think exemplifies this team is they never cracked. You know, they made mistakes, and it wasn't a big deal. I think one of the biggest ones, Logan got hit from behind on that sprint option and put the ball on the ground. And you know, I've had a lot of people ask me, you know, were you worried? No, not at all. I don't think it ever crossed my mind that we weren't going to get it done. And it was mostly because of the way these guys carry themselves. And like I said, it kind of summed up our season in one night, just with the way that game went back and forth. And it would have been nice. You're freaking me out, man. Sneaking up behind me. It would have been nice to go out there with a 2 or 3 touchdown win. You know, don't get me wrong, but the way it came down, I think it just kind of puts it in a nutshell. You know, I don't know how many people ask me, were you thinking about not kicking? Were you nervous? No, I don't think we even talked about it. We just get the ball in the middle of the field and let Mattis kick it. You know, and you know, he went out there. Coach Weiss from Park Hills talked to him afterward, and he said, "Do you mind if I ask him a question?" I said, "No." He said, "I was going to call a timeout to ice you." He said, "Would that have worked?" And Matt looked at him like, he said, "You don't know what I'm talking about, do you?" And he said, "No, I don't know what you're talking about." I said, "It wouldn't have worked." He was just going to, and that kick was Matt. I mean, that was the kick he does every day. It wasn't too far, it wasn't too short. It was that's just what he does every day. And like I said, that game kind of says what this team is or was. And I'm real proud of that. I was probably the most proud I've ever been to come off the football field. From what Cody just did, you realize we're a senior-heavy team. That was nice. It was easy to motivate them. They came out ready to play. Started last November, got in a weight room. Young guys, freshmen, this is a group that asked me when we were going to lift over Christmas break. I didn't have to tell them, hey, we need to lift, okay? They got in there and they started competing with each other, and it kind of took off from there. Where you going? Once they got, we had the board up on the wall, and once a couple of them got some records, the competition kind of went from there. They started competing a little bit more, and then word got around, this is what we're doing. And that's where I think it kind of took off, because it wasn't a, hey, you have to do this. It was, hey, we want to do this. And they had fun doing it. They're your kids. There's quite a few jokers in the group. And they have fun with pretty much everything they do. And that's important, I think. And when you do things that are that hard and you have fun doing them, it makes it that much more fun. The 7-on-7 sessions we started, the wet bulb thermometer, that whole business we went through, going all the way to the last week of practice in the snow. Throwing snowballs at each other, and Brett trying to throw snowballs at me. And, it was just a fun group to be around. I'm the crabby old man of the group, but it was real easy to be laid back and relaxed with these guys, because they always worked. They always knew when to stop and to get the job done. So I appreciate that. So we're going to celebrate tonight. We're going to talk about the group's accomplishments. We're going to talk about individual people. And we hope, you guys can tell how much this whole team has meant to all of us. Like I said, each guy's going to talk a little bit about somebody. We're going to start off with Coach Pope, I think, talking about the JV. And then we'll go through the whole thing, and at the end, we'll tell you some of the awards and stuff we've gotten. Okay? All right, Jay.
I'd just like to start off by thanking all the parents and guardians that let us work with your sons this year. This JV crew is probably one of the most coachable groups I've ever been around, and I think that's a direct reflection on how you've raised your sons. I'd also like to thank Coach Nick Cow for everything he does for the football team and for our school. He did an amazing job with your boys this year, and he did an even better job with the JV defense. I've been coaching football for over a decade. I can never remember a time when a defensive coordinator ran up the score quite like Nick did against DeSoto. So that was a first for me. Cody kind of stole my thunder here with this one, but I also want to thank Nick's mom for being a strong vocal supporter for us this year. If you're not sure which one is Nick's mother, she's the one that wears Coach's mom's shirt. And if you hear her yelling and you say, oh my God, who's that lady? That's Nick's mom. But seriously, on behalf of the JV squad and the coaching staff, we're very grateful for all the fan support that these guys get at every game. At the JV level, we know nobody wants to drive to Fredericktown on a Monday night, but you guys do it out of support and love, so we thank you for that. A great coach once told me that you can judge a team's season success on the scoreboard and by their final record. But you can protect the team's lifetime success based on how full the bleachers on any given game. So based on that theory, I think our boys are well set up for the rest of their lives. So again, we thank all the supporters, fans, and parents that came out to every game for these guys. At this time, I'm going to call up the JV. I'm going to talk to them as a group. Kind of like Cody said, I could say something great about each and every one of these kids. They're all great kids, but I'm just going to talk to them as a group. So when I call your name, guys, go ahead and come on up and just hold your applause till the end. Anthony Nash, Thomas O'Brien, Tanner Weiler, Cole Roman, Clayton Squires, Caden Buat, Peter Clinton, Austin McBride, Zach Burr, Elijah Holyfield, Cole Foff, Ryan Schmelsley, Dale Propes, Hunter Reeves, Stephen Allen, Paul Aarons, and Vincent Whittu. All right, these guys finished the season with 7 wins and only 1 loss. They outscored their opponents 346 to 76. While these are great achievements. I believe their biggest achievement is one the fans don't really get to see. We ask these guys to give each other everything they have during JV games, and they unselfishly do that. And then at practice the following day, most of them still sore from the night before. They make up our scout team. And again, we ask them that they give everything they have, but this time it's for their varsity teammates. And again, they do this unselfishly. I don't know, for those of you that have never seen a scout team, been on a scout team, there's nothing glorious or glamorous about it. If you don't believe me, you can ask Coach Bosler. I think he spent his whole career on the scout team. But this group did it every day at practice. They took their licks, they got back up, and they got right back in for the next rep. They did all this with pride and without ever complaining. I truly believe this weekly sacrifice is what helped push our varsity team to the district championship this year. So please, if you would, join me in a round of applause. Let these young men know that their efforts and unselfish sacrifice didn't go unnoticed this year. Again, I think I could talk for days about how great each and every one of these kids is, but I think we'll leave it at what I've already said. We look forward to seeing your guys' progress and what you guys can do next year for us. So, thank you, guys.
Hey, I'm Ryan White. I call the defense. I'm gonna starting off great. I'm gonna talk a little bit about the defense, then call some boys up. The defense had a great year overall. This unit really came together in the second half of the year and was really able to shut down our. I ask a lot of these young men, and they never backed down from that challenge. Whether it was DeSoto trying to air the ball out or Brentwood bringing 6 blockers around the edge, we were able to stop them when it mattered. And I could not be more proud of how these gentlemen performed. I'm going to go, I already said that. The first guy I'm going to talk about, Brett Beezer. Brett had 38 solo tackles, 11 assists. He had 1 interception and 12 catches for 131 yards and 2 TDs. Before I really get to the seniors, I want to recognize Brett. Brett was one of the few juniors we had that helped us on defense. Brett didn't start the year on defense, and if you were to ask him, he'd probably tell you that's a mistake. But he started helping us around week 3 after we got past Valley and was able to fill in for multiple roles. Brett played corner and outside backer and had a really good year. I'm looking forward to having him back. Next up is Kobe Hatfield. Kobe had 58 solo tackles, 27 assists, 2 sacks, and a fumble recovery. Kobe was a 2-year starter at inside linebacker. The way we run our defense, we count on these guys to make a lot of plays, and Kobe was always ready to rise to the task. Probably the smartest football player I've ever coached. Never had to be told anything twice and was able to be a field general while making tackles, not an easy task. Kobe also did a great job of helping the younger guys and getting Doug up to speed when he stepped in week 7. Next, Jacob Doug Booyer. Doug had 35 solo tackles, 10 assists, 2 fumble recoveries. Yeah, it's Booyer. His mom told me that at parent-teacher conferences. Doug is the perfect example of a St. Gen football player. We did not know where we were going to play him, but we did know he could help us somewhere because he was going to work. So at the beginning of the season, I brought him down to linebacker. To say it went well, Doug, I think we both know that's not true. But like I said, he worked. He got better as the season went along, and when he was needed, jumped right in and immediately produced. Doug's first game as a starter at linebacker was against Fredericktown, and he was second in the team in tackles. From there, he just kept making plays. I hope the underclassmen in this room learn from his example. Though he started the year only on special teams, he continued to work at practice and be coachable, and finished 3rd on the team in total tackles and was an all-conference linebacker. Kyle Kiefer. Kyle had 19 solo tackles, 2 assists. Kyle played corner, the prototypical corner right there, and was great at shutting down the pass. He may not look it, but he was our best defensive back when it came to covering. Kyle would also do a great job of sealing the edge and making the play when we needed it. Other coaches would see him out there and think they could throw over the top of him, but it didn't happen. Chuck Finley. Chuck was a great addition to have this year, especially after Austin got hurt again. Chuck played strong safety for us, which meant I asked him to both stop the run like a linebacker and defend the pass like a safety. I think Charles would agree I spent more time trying to move him around on Friday night than anyone else. He was great with the in-game adjustments and was able to make plays anywhere on the field. I wish we'd have had him a little longer. Jesse Kemper. Jesse had 27 solo tackles, 6 assists, a sack, 12 catches, 144 yards, and 1 TD. Jesse played outside linebacker for us. Jesse usually found himself, like Charles, asked to do multiple jobs on the defense. Tasked with defending the edge in the run game and quick passes through the air, Jesse was forced to make big plays many times throughout the game. Jesse also played outside receiver for us. His biggest catch of the year was in the second quarter against Park Hills when he hauled in that 32-yard pass from Sauce. Jesse will be hard to replace on both sides of the ball. Seth Siebert. Seth had 10 tackles, 5 assists, and a fumble recovery. He also had 18 carries for 129 yards and 3 touchdowns. Seth is another great athlete that found himself behind in the depth chart when the season started. Seth never quit working and eventually started at corner for us when Kiefer got hurt. When he got his shot, he took full advantage of it. This was even more true on the offensive side. We always knew that Seth was a great running quarterback, and when he got the chance, he took it from Kobe, and he showed us just that. I wish we had Seth for another year. Finally, Austin Keene. Austin had some bad luck with his ligaments, and the month of June. 2 times he had major tissue damage in the offseason that would lead to missing his sophomore and his senior year. Despite that, Austin always stuck around and helped out when he needed and did a great job of supporting these men, even though he could not take the field. I will miss his sense of humor and his positive outlook on life, most of all.
All right. I don't have any funny jokes like Coach Pope over there, so I'm just going to get started here. First off, I'm going to give out some thank yous. Thank you to you parents for everything you guys do for this program and raising these wonderful children. I want to thank the moms for making the food for these guys before meals or before games. Thank my wife and their wives for letting us do what we do. That's a lot of time away from home, so we thank them for that. To our administration, they do a great job of standing behind us throughout the year, and they help us out any way they can. Really, to anybody that helps out with the program, we thank you guys. It's a lot that goes into it, so we appreciate everything you guys do. Looking back at this season, you know, it really didn't start like we wanted to. The first half of the season, we were 2-3 after 5 games, but instead of these guys getting down on themselves, they could have easily folded in, but they decided to put in the work. And you can tell it really paid off for these guys. We went on to win our next 6 games, had the opportunity to play for a district championship, which is something we haven't done since 2015. It says a lot about this group. Obviously, it wasn't the ending that we hoped for, but I'm so proud of these guys and everything they accomplished this year. When looking at the offense this year, we really had some guys step up, fill some key roles for us. About halfway through the year, we had 2 guys. 2 of our starting receivers go out with season-ending injuries, but we had guys step up, and they're obviously ready for the challenge. From the beginning of the year to the end of the year, these guys improved tremendously, and it's all because of the work that they put in each and every day. It all started during the wintertime, in the summertime, just being in the weight room and getting better. I'm going to name some. I've got 7 guys here I'm going to call off, talk about them if they can come up. First off, I got Alex Darush. We missed Alex this year. With him being out from an injury, I think he could have played a key role on this team. It still didn't stop him from coming out and helping us out any way he could. We kind of put Alex in a manager role, and he was there for kind of whatever we needed from him. So we thank him for that and everything he did for us this year. Logan Trollinger. Logan played in 4 games with us this year before missing the rest of the season with an injury. Within those 4 games, Logan had 4 receptions for 60 yards. We missed Logan both offensively and defensively this year. But the great thing about him is he's only a junior, so we're going to get him back for another year. I know Logan can do some great things next year, and we're excited to see what he can accomplish next season. Peyton Matthews. Peyton started the season as one of our slot receivers on offense. He had an outstanding first 6 games before he got injured. Within those 6 games, Peyton had 30 receptions for 342 yards and 3 touchdowns. I mean, with those 30 receptions within 6 games, that's 3 behind our leading guy, which says quite a bit for only having 6 games in. Peyton averaged 11 yards per catch and 57 yards receiving per game during that 6-game span. The great thing about Peyton is he is very sure-handed, except that Dexter game. Other than that, anytime you throw a ball towards him, he's going to catch it. Peyton's also a junior, so we're going to get him back for another year, and hopefully we can see what he can do with a full season under his belt. Zach Boyer. Zach started the year rotating in at running back with Austin. He carried the ball 59 times this year for 525 yards and 3 rushing touchdowns. He kind of did whatever we asked of him to do this year, which is what we need out of these guys. Once Peyton got injured, we moved Zach out to the slot receiver, and he absolutely excelled there. In 6 games at receiver, Zach had 34 receptions, which led the team for 661 yards and 8 touchdowns. Zach averaged 20 yards per catch and 55 yards per game. Zach's just a sophomore, so he definitely has a bright future ahead of him. He's just all around athletic. I swear the kid gets bigger just by walking by the weight room. He doesn't do a whole lot in there, but it shows. Hopefully we can get him in there and he can work a little harder in there, and Zach's got a bright future ahead of him. Zach earned first team all-conference honors at the wide receiver position, so congratulations there, Zach. Austin Bullock. At the beginning of the year, Austin was a two-way starter for us. He rotated in at running back with Zach, and then he also started inside linebacker. After a few injuries, Austin took over full-time at the running back position, and he did not disappoint. I think Austin's vision is the big thing that he improved on from last year to this year. He's always been a hard runner, but this year it seemed that he could see holes much faster and hit them much quicker. Austin had 133 carries this year for 667 yards and 5 touchdowns. Austin would physically punish you every time he carried the ball, and that's what I loved about watching him run the football. Austin earned second team all-conference honors at the running back positions. Good job. Bryce Trollinger. Bryce did a tremendous job for us this year. He wasn't a starter last year offensively, but he definitely earned a spot this year. I think Bryce I don't think Bryce missed a day in the weight room during the winter or the summer. He was always the first guy in, and usually he was the last one to leave. Honestly, I didn't realize how key of a role Bryce was to our offense until I believe it was the Fredericktown game, the playoff game, about 3 weeks ago. He was gone for a band, something to do with band, and we literally couldn't run probably half our formations because he wasn't there. He did a great job for us. He played the slot receiver. He played tight end for us. He played the up back. He had 21 carries for 90 yards. Bryce ended the season with 30 receptions for 354 yards and 3 touchdowns. Bryce was named second team all-conference at the wide receiver position. Congratulations there, Bryce. And lastly, we got Logan Geck. I've been around Logan since he was a freshman. I started here 4 years ago, and Logan was a freshman then. And he's definitely grown into a great quarterback and a leader. Logan's never had the best throwing mechanics, I could say, or the best arm strength, but he was always and probably one of the most grittiest players that I've ever been around. Most of you may know, you may not know, but Logan was hurt for about the first 5 games of the season. Probably didn't notice because he kept going. He played through it, and that's the kind of kid Logan is. Logan passed for 1,769 yards this year, and he threw for 19 touchdowns. He also was basically our second running back. He carried the ball 134 times for 415 yards and 8 touchdowns. I can't forget he also had 1 reception for 12 yards. Yeah, can't leave that out. Logan's going to be tough to replace, as will all of these seniors. He was a leader on and off the field, a great mentor to these younger guys. Logan earned first team all-conference honors at the quarterback position. Lastly, I just want to thank all you seniors for everything you've done for this program. I wish all of you guys the best of luck in whatever you do in the future. You guys are going to be greatly missed, and we hope to see all of you back here for future games. For you younger guys, I think the biggest thing to take away from this group is just the work ethic that these guys put in. These guys work their tails off in the weight room, wintertime, summertime. They were in there all the time, and I think that's where it all starts for these guys. I think there's 22 or 23 of them. So there is definitely a lot of opportunity for you freshmen, sophomore, juniors to step up next year. All right. Again, thank you guys to all you seniors. I wish every single one of you the best of luck in whatever you guys do. All right. Thank you guys.
Got to move this up, Bosler. All right, a little bit. All right. So, I also want to say thank you, mostly to the parents, guardians, and players who accepted me into the fold this year. This was my first season back as offensive defensive line coach, mostly on the O-line. But having 11 seniors on the line is a rare feat in the offensive line, defensive line coaching world. So the thing that struck out me the most was the continued camaraderie, the group that I was able to spend most of my time with. Everyone had a role to serve, and they took that responsible seriously, whether it was on scout team, whether it was fill-in, backup, starter, whatever it was, and I'm proud of that fact. So as I prepared for this banquet, I wanted to come up with something a little bit different rather than catches, yards, passes. I was going to do pancakes, but according to Coy Fleek, he has 842 pancakes. So I can't really trust that. We actually had to develop a system to decide whether or not someone had a pancake. So I decided to come up with maybe a word or a characteristic that defined each of these seniors as I called them up, which seemed a little bit more fitting. So speaking of preparation, my first senior, Zach Linton, I chose the word prepared because Zach is always ready and willing. From the first game, which was Dexter, to Kennett, he was always there behind me. The young guys can learn a lot from this trait. Mr. Linton, throughout the year, was asked to go from offense to offense again as issues and injuries arose. He handled these moves with class and made sure he was prepared for the upcoming opponent. Zach, thank you. The next senior is Caleb Roth. Caleb became the utility man here on our offensive line this year. Many practices, he would go from guard to center to guard to center, amongst other things. So the word that comes to mind with Caleb is hard worker, a person who's willing to do whatever's necessary for the team, someone that's willing to go the extra mile. And also, because playing offensive line at 160 pounds, you better be a hard worker. So keep your head up, Caleb. The future's bright. No, literally, keep your head up. You had us all scared, and rides in the ambulance are not cheap, all right? So thank you, Caleb. The next senior that I have, the word that comes to mind is passion. Luke Goodwin, guard and long snapper, enjoys playing offensive line, and it shows. Passion, as we know, can be infectious. It can be an emotion that raises the level of play around him. Luke is always willing to help younger players, join the scout team offense, communicate plays, and ask questions when something needs clarification. All of those are qualities and proof that Luke has pride in his play. Thank you, Luke. The fourth senior on my list is Coy Fleet. He can be described with one word, and that's humble. Coy at right tackle and defensive end continued to improve each week of the season. This improvement was capped by an honorable mention, all-conference line selection. Mr. Fleet went about his business at tackle with an honest approach, willing to accept feedback and challenging himself to improve on the offensive and defensive lines, and more importantly, our team. Coy, thank you. My next senior is someone who loves to get his number called when the play, series, or game is on the line, Clayton Kreitler. Clayton's defining word, without a doubt, is scrappy. The Merriam-Webster dictionary describes scrappy as someone who is aggressive and one who possesses a determined spirit. A fitting description, indeed. Mr. Kreitler, throughout the season, could be counted on to make a big play when needed, whether it be a punt block return for a touchdown, a reach block to seal the edge, or a dive play that we have yet to rehearse with him, or a tackle throw back screen in which he refused to be denied a touchdown. Clayton You were there to make the plays. That scrappy, determined spirit earned Clayton all-team, all-conference, first team O-line, and second team all-conference D-line. Clayton, we thank you. My final senior should serve as a role model for all football players we have coming up through this program. This young man saw limited time as a junior and developed himself into a first-team all-conference O-lineman and second-team all-conference D-lineman. That young man is Evan Walker. Evan, your defining word is selfless, a person who puts the needs of the team above their own. Mr. Walker probably didn't think he would end up starting 12 games at center, but our team needed a center. As you know, the center is charged with making calls, blitz pickup, providing constant shotgun snaps, and usually handling the opposing team's largest individuals. Evan, we thank you for guiding this offensive unit, and thank you for your contribution to the program.
All right, I get to finish it up. Hopefully I won't forget anybody. I'm going to go right into my players. I'm going to start with Hunter Lawrence. Hunter's a junior, one of our few junior offensive linemen. He played offensive guard, defensive end. Very smart, intelligent lineman. He spent a lot of time in the offseason getting big. Hunter started for us as a sophomore. Played all the offense and then played a little bit of defense, and then I guess he just decided to beef up this winter, and he did a great job with it. And didn't lose any of his quickness or speed while he got bigger. So he's a good-looking kid right now, and he's always been a dedicated team player, very unselfish. Unfortunately, Hunter ended the season a little bit earlier than he probably wanted to, had a season-ending injury. But I think he's a leader in his class, and he can be, in the future. He's not a real vocal guy, but he's a very hard worker. If you guys want to look at somebody that works hard and follows somebody, Hunter's a good one to follow. My next guy, Christian Hale. Christian was defensive tackle for us. I don't think we even had an offensive position for Christian, but that was okay. Unless you want to count his little kickoff return against Kennett, but I don't know if we want to count that. He was the quickest of our interior defensive linemen. He knew this, and I think he used it well. He used it to his advantage. We used a lot of our edge stunts, and it's nice when you can stunt a big guy out to the edge, because it's a little bit unexpected. We can bring the quick guys in. We like to do a little twist call, and he was very good at that. Actually ran down the quarterbacks quite a bit and running backs. Ended the season with 2 sacks and 3 tackles for losses from his inside position. He had a little bit of an injury bug early in the season, but when he came back, he was somebody that opposing offenses definitely had to figure in when they were trying to figure out where he was in order to block him. Dakota Arnold. Dakota's one of our biggest D linemen. He developed himself into a player for us this year. He's our one technique, or one of our one techniques, and he's got the job of kind of manning down an inside area gap, and he did that pretty well, I think. Dakota didn't play a lot as a junior, but he worked pretty hard in the offseason and decided to get a little dedicated to it and make himself into a little bit of better player. It was a nice compliment to the quicker linemen with Christian and Luke around him. My next guy, Luke Terry. He's another guy that's a little quicker. Luke's not the tallest guy in the world, but he used his quickness and his speed and his technique pretty well. You guys can move down. That way they're not kind of hanging off the edge. I don't care if you're in front of me. I got that. We played him in a one technique. He probably would have been better at 3, but when he got on the field with Christian, it was a pretty good combination of speed. So we were able to stunt with both of them too on the field. We were able to stunt both sides pretty good, and we liked doing that. Especially when Luke incorporated that swim technique that he patented. We kind of made fun of it as coaches, but when Luke lined up in our pass drills, we couldn't block him, and give him credit, it worked, and he made our linemen look pretty bad in our one-on-one pass drills, and he did pretty effective in the games too, so we were good. We had him inside for us. Jacob Hutchins. Hutch. He's another one of our big one technique. Hutch was, I thought, very good at taking on a double team. And when somebody's doing that, you know, you guys heard him talk about Kobe and Doug earlier. The linebackers were making tackles. It's because guys like Hutch and Dakota and Christian and Luke were in front of them, taking on blockers and doing unselfish acts. Hutch is probably one of the, if I had to, you know, mimic Coach Kyle and come up with a word for Hutch, I think unselfish would be another good one. He did whatever we asked of him, and he played a lot of scout team offense. We moved him around on different places on offense to make our defense better, and when he came into games in a one technique, did a very good job for us. Thank you, Hutch. Gage Wiegand. Gage, an offensive guard and a linebacker for us. Starting last November, Gage, I think, had the best offseason he's ever had. He's a hard worker in the weight room. He likes to lift weights. He got himself strong. He got himself quick. And then he worked relentlessly through it all spring and all summer. And then, unfortunately, he broke a bone in his leg in camp and kind of put an end to his season early on. It was tough to watch because you see guys go through the things they go through, and especially Gage, knowing he was coming into his senior season and really looking forward to it. And I really felt for him, but I tell you what, you couldn't tell by talking to him. He never got down. You know, he kept coming around and kept coming back. He knew that he was going to get released at some point, and luckily for us, he got released right before week 9. He was able to play a few snaps against Brentwood, which made him eligible to play in district, and then he was able to play some of our last 3 games and help us out on the offensive line. I never worried about, you know, him being able to pick anything up because he's smart as they come, and he picked up right where he left off. And I wish we could have had you for a whole season, Gage. My last guy. I wonder if he knows who he is. See if I'll butcher his name again. Mateus Lacerda. Yeah, I had a lot of names for this guy, but he answered all of them. He figured out real early who I was talking about. I don't even know where to begin talking about him. I got to tell you, his first day, I don't even know when it was. We had already started, and we were in school and stuff, and I was approached in school about an exchange student playing. And do you ever do that? No, sure, we always do. And I've had some other foreign exchange students come in and at other schools, and you know, in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, oh yeah, what are we going to get here? And you know, Mateus came out and just nice as he could be, and very, very pleasant, very humble man. And I was glad he came out from day one. But I got to tell you, when he first kicked the first time, I was like, oh, okay, he's just going to kind of hang out and be here. And Coach Roth, give him credit, he said, I'll work with him. I'll get him where he can kick for you. And I think the first day he kicked barefoot the whole game, the whole practice, and his foot was hurting the next day. But Tyson didn't give up on him. And the neatest thing about all this, and we talked about this group of kids up here, and a group of kids in this room, but these guys just took to him right away. It was almost like, I don't know, there was, like they knew each other. Because when he came out and he started kicking, he just fit right in. And it got to a point where we always have a point in time in practice. Well, are we going to kick, Coach? You know, what are we going to kick for? Well, we got to give Mateus something to do. So we trot him out there in the middle of practice. And everybody rallied around him. You know, he'd warm up and he'd kick long ones. He'd kick from different angles. He did all kinds of things for us. And it was just fun to be around, you know. And it was one of those things as I was talking about earlier. When he came into the Park Hills game, somebody said, well, were you nervous? Were you worried? No, I wasn't at all. Just because I knew he was going to go out there and he was going to do what he always does. And he did, you know. And if you were at that game and saw the emotion from everybody, you know, and especially him, I think that just kind of sums up what he gave to this team and I think what they gave back to him. So, Mateus, nice job, buddy. Thank you. All right, we've got all our guys through. Coaches mentioned all conference. I'm going to run through it again, and you guys that are all conference, just please step forward. Our first team all conference guys: Logan Geck, quarterback, unanimous. Zach Boyer, wide receiver, unanimous. Clayton Kreitler, O-line. Evan Walker, O-line. And Kobe Hatfield, linebacker. Those are our first teamers. Our second teamer is Austin Bullock, running back. Bryce Trollinger, wide receiver. and Bryce also a D-back. Charles Finley, defensive back. Jacob Boyer, linebacker. Clayton Kreitler, defensive end. Evan Walker, defensive end. And Mateus Lacerda, kicker. And our honorable mention all conference, Coy Fleeg, offensive line, and Brett Beezer, defensive back. Now I get to make a couple of announcements that nobody knows about yet, except for us, up here at the table anyway. And Shelley, she saw it. Okay, our all-district team's out. On our first team all-district, we've got Logan Gett, quarterback. Zach Boyer, wide receiver. Kobe Hatfield, a linebacker. And Bryce Straulinger, defensive back. First team all-district. Our second team all-district players, Clayton Kreitler, defensive end. Evan Walker, O-line. Austin Bullock, running back. And Bryce Straulinger, wide receiver. And this next one's really special. This can be out already because it's based on grades and participation, which these guys already have. Academic All-State. In order to be Academic All-State, you have to have a 25% or 25 or better ACT, a 3.5 GPA or better, or be in the top 10% of your class. We've got two guys this year, Kobe Hatfield and Evan Walker. Nice job, guys. Okay, we've got our team awards now. Well, before I do that, I'm going to give out one more. We have, most of you guys are familiar with the Andy Hopsinger scholarship that we are offering these guys. Andy was a Festus football player, and he was a vet, and he got killed in action in Iraq, wasn't it, right? Yeah, and they have a memorial for him. A good buddy of mine, John Kreitz, runs this, and he asked us to be a part of it. And we feel very proud to be a part of this. They asked us to pick somebody that would exemplify what Andy stood for, team player, unselfish, very caring individual. So what we do is we do some fundraisers with them, and we help them out a little bit, and they turn around and they help us out. This year they gave us 2 scholarships, and these guys are getting $1,500 each scholarship to where they're going to continue their education or their training. 1,000 of it comes from the Hopsinger scholarship, and then 500 comes from our boosters. So we kind of help out with that too. We're real proud of these individuals. I have some administrators help pick this, and so that way we kind of aren't biased as coaches. We ask people that know these guys and know their character to pick them. It's out of the senior class, and our 2 winners this year are Jake.
Okay, ready? Perfect. 1, 2, 3. Okay, somehow, and I don't know how, but we ended up with 2 football banners, so we're giving away 2 football banners. God, there is a lot in here. This is crazy. I bet there's 200 in here. Luke Terry. Seriously, there's like 200 in here. Coy Fleeg. I don't know how it happens every time. Every time. Okay. Award winners, don't forget to stick around until we can get your pictures taken. Have a great night. Thank you for coming.